Picture a world where cold could kill you in minutes. Not discomfort, not inconvenience, death. Air so sharp it burned your lungs with every breath, wind that sliced through skin like blades. Dawn wasn't beautiful. It hurt. The planet stood still under ice, as if time itself had frozen. Massive glaciers crept across continents, swallowing forests, rivers, and anything foolish enough to exist in their path. The sky stayed gray. The ground stayed white. Color vanished. Sound vanished. Nothing moved except the wind and the deep cracking of ice tearing itself apart. And still, humans walked through that frozen hell. They didn't conquer it. They didn't tame it. They survived it. This struggle had a name, the last ice age, and the survivors had a name too, us. Around 20,000 years ago, Earth looked nothing like the world we know today. Seas were locked in ice. Forests slept under endless snow. Giant animals ruled the land, shaped by cold and hunger. Winds could strip heat from flesh faster than fear could register. And right there, in the middle of this frozen chaos, human beings existed. Fragile, exposed, unprotected. No machines, no cities, no safety net. Just fire, stone, skin, and nerve. Before we dive in, comment where you're watching from and subscribe to Primal Roots. Every step outside shelter was a gamble. Every night was a test against darkness and freezing air. Survival wasn't a given. It was something earned daily. Cold wasn't just weather. It was a predator. Silent, invisible, patient. It didn't chase. It waited. Waited for the fire to die, the clothing to tear, the body to slow. When that moment came, cold took everything. Humans understood something critical early on. You don't fight cold with strength. You fight it with intelligence. That realization changed everything. Fire stopped being just heat. It became meaning. Around the flame, people gathered. They shared food, silence, fear, ideas. Fire became the heart of life. And the cave became more than shelter. It turned into home, memory, protection, identity. When ice swallowed the land, humans adapted fast. Mammoth bones became walls. Thick hides turned into roofs. Fire became the center of existence. Archaeologists later uncovered structures built from skulls and tusks, proof that even without modern tools, early humans mastered survival architecture. Every detail mattered. Every decision could mean life or death. But survival wasn't only physical. Something deeper was happening. Humans began to create. They shaped tools, planned hunts, built relationships, learned from mistakes, learned from nature. Hunting stopped being instinct and became strategy. Shelter stopped being luck and became design. Survival stopped being chance and became culture. And culture spread, not just within groups, but between them, between generations, even between human species.
Because the ones who survived weren't the strongest, they were the most adaptable. And adaptation demanded more than muscle. It demanded thought. Homo sapiens learned cooperation. Roles formed. Plans took shape. Hunts became coordinated movements instead of desperate attacks. Neanderthals, on the other hand, were built for cold. Dense bodies, powerful lungs, thick bones. They endured conditions that would cripple others. Two forms of humanity, two solutions to the same nightmare.
Outside the cave waited predators designed for this world. Cave bears towering over 3 meters tall. Saber-toothed cats with fangs that pierced bone. Giant wolves hunting in disciplined packs. Cold-adapted hyenas following humans like shadows. Humans weren't kings of this ecosystem. They weren't even close. They lived in the middle of the food chain, small, breakable, exposed. And yet, they had something no other animal possessed: imagination. The last glacial maximum peaked between roughly 26,000 and 19,000 years ago. Ice sheets stretched for thousands of miles. Sea levels dropped, exposing land bridges now drowned beneath oceans. Entire landscapes disappeared under snow. Deserts turned into frozen plains. The planet became a battlefield where every living thing raced against climate, hunger, and extinction. During this time, Homo sapiens crossed the Bering Land Bridge into the Americas. Neanderthals fought for survival across frozen Eurasia. The world belonged to predators. Humans survived by thinking ahead. This was the age when human invention exploded, not out of comfort, but desperation. Bone tools sharpened to precision. Clothing stitched from hides using needles carved from bone. Fire-controlled, protected, carried. Cave paintings appeared, not as decoration, but as expression. Those paintings reveal something powerful. They don't just show animals. They show intention, motion, memory, meaning. Even surrounded by ice, something inside humans refused to freeze. Imagination became a weapon against fear, against cold, against time. When Homo sapiens and Neanderthals met, history shifted. It wasn't only conflict, it was coexistence, exchange, and sometimes intimacy. Today, up to 2% of modern human DNA carries Neanderthal traces. Those genes still influence immunity, cold tolerance, even physical traits. They didn't vanish. They live on, in bone, in skin, in biology, in instinct. Human history isn't a clean story of victory. It's a story of endurance. The Ice Age tested everything: body, mind, connection. And humans passed not because of weapons, but because of ideas. Fire didn't begin in the hands. It began in the mind. Looking back, the miracle isn't that humans survived the ice. It's that they learned from it. Every spark in a cave promised a future. Every mark on stone said, "We were here." Even in chaos, humans imagined something beyond survival. That ability shaped everything that followed. We are children of the cold, heirs of the Ice Age. And the fire that kept them alive still burns inside us. As the Ice Age tightened its grip, survival stopped being an individual challenge and became a collective equation. Cold reshaped everything: bodies, landscapes, behavior, and thought. In this frozen world, intelligence was no longer abstract. It was measurable in calories saved, wounds avoided, nights survived. Every decision carried weight, and every mistake carried consequence. Human groups learned quickly that isolation meant death. Cooperation became the most valuable adaptation of all. Small bands organized themselves with precision, not through formal hierarchy, but through shared necessity. Tasks were divided naturally. Some tracked animals across snow-covered plains, reading footprints and broken ice like maps. Others prepared tools, repaired clothing, tended fires, or watched for predators. Knowledge circulated constantly. Information was survival currency. The environment dictated movement. Seasonal migration patterns of animals became guides for human movement. Camps were placed near windbreaks. Cave entrances were chosen based on exposure, sunlight, and elevation. Snow accumulation, access to water, and visibility all factored into decisions. These were not random choices. They reflected environmental awareness refined over generations. Technology advanced steadily, driven by pressure rather than comfort. Stone tools became smaller, sharper, more specialized. Scrapers for hides, blades for meat, points designed to penetrate thick fur and muscle. Bone and antler replaced stone when flexibility or lightness mattered. Each material was selected intentionally. Waste was minimized. Efficiency was survival. Clothing marked a turning point. Simple draped skins were no longer enough. Humans began stitching fitted garments using bone needles and animal sinew. This allowed layered insulation, reduced heat loss, and increased mobility. Gloves, boots, leggings, and head coverings emerged not as cultural symbols, but as biological necessities. Heat retention extended endurance. Endurance expanded territory. Fire management reached a new level of sophistication. Flames were shielded from wind, maintained through the night, transported using embers, and positioned strategically inside shelters. Fire-hardened tools preserved food and deterred predators. It also altered social behavior. Groups gathered closer. Time extended beyond daylight. Communication increased. Planning became possible. Diet diversified as well. Large game remained essential, but humans expanded their food strategies. Marrow extraction from bones maximized calories. Fat became highly prized, especially during winter months when energy demands peaked. Smaller animals, fish, birds, and plant remained supplemented diets when large prey was scarce. Nothing edible was ignored. Nothing wasted. Neanderthals and Homo sapiens approached these challenges differently. Neanderthals relied heavily on physical robustness. Their bodies conserved heat efficiently, and their strength allowed close-range hunting. Homo sapiens leaned toward flexibility. Lighter builds, longer limbs, and higher endurance favored distance hunting, coordination, and innovation. Neither approach was superior in isolation. Both reflected adaptation to specific ecological niches. Where their territories overlapped, interaction was inevitable. Archaeological evidence shows shared tool styles, overlapping settlement patterns, and genetic exchange. These encounters were complex. Competition existed, but so did learning. Techniques spread. Ideas transferred. Gene flow occurred. Human evolution accelerated through contact rather than separation. Shelters evolved alongside social complexity. Caves remained crucial, but open-air structures appeared in regions without natural rock formations. Mammoth bones, wooden frames, and layered hides formed durable dwellings. Some sites show repeated occupation, suggesting seasonal return rather than constant movement. Familiarity with territory increased survival odds. Inside these shelters, behavior shifted. Storage appeared. Food cached for later use. Tools repaired instead of discarded. Children learned through observation and participation. Elders contributed knowledge rather than physical labor. Survival extended beyond the individual lifespan and into accumulated experience. Symbolic behavior expanded under pressure. Pigments were used intentionally. Red ochre appears in burials, on tools, and on bodies. Ornaments made from teeth, shells, and carved bone suggest identity and group belonging. These behaviors required time, effort, and foresight, resources that only stable groups could afford. Culture emerged not as decoration, but as structure. Cave art reflected cognitive depth. The accuracy of animal anatomy, sense of movement, and spatial awareness indicate advanced observation and memory. These images were not random. They aligned with hunted species, seasonal cycles, and environmental knowledge. Art functioned as record, communication, and possibly teaching tool. It externalized memory. Language likely expanded during this period, not merely sounds, but structured meaning. Coordination during hunts, warnings about danger, Explanations of technique and transmission of knowledge required increasing complexity. Language compressed experience into shareable units. It allowed one individual's mistake to prevent another's death. Social bonds deepened. Trust became essential. Dependence increased. Group cohesion directly affected survival. Those unable to cooperate were liabilities. Those who contributed knowledge, skill, or care became indispensable. Altruism emerged not from moral abstraction, but from evolutionary advantage. Groups that supported injured members retained experience. Groups that abandoned them lost it. Predation pressure reinforced this dynamic. Humans learned predator behavior intimately. They tracked not only prey, but threats. They understood hunting patterns, den locations, and seasonal aggression. Fire, noise, and group formation served as deterrents. Humans became less vulnerable not by eliminating predators, but by predicting them. Domestication began quietly. Wolves that tolerated human presence benefited from food scraps and warmth. Humans benefited from early warning systems and cooperative hunting. Over generations, mutual tolerance shifted into partnership. This relationship altered both species. The earliest dogs were not pets. They were survival allies. Migration continued. As ice sheets advanced and retreated, corridors opened and closed. Humans followed opportunity. Each movement carried knowledge forward. Tool styles spread. Genetic diversity increased. Populations adapted locally while remaining connected globally. Humanity became both resilient and flexible. The Ice Age compressed human development into a crucible. There was no room for excess, no margin for error. Every innovation mattered. Every connection counted. Biology alone was insufficient. Survival depended on behavior shaped by intelligence, memory, and cooperation. By the end of this period, humans were no longer simply enduring the environment. They were anticipating it, reading it, adapting ahead of change. This shift marked a fundamental transformation. Nature was no longer only a threat. It became a system to understand. Cold forced clarity. It stripped life down to essentials and revealed what truly mattered. Heat, food, knowledge, connection, meaning. These pressures did not weaken humanity. They refined it. And beneath the ice, something enduring took shape. A species defined not by strength, but by shared intelligence, capable of carrying fire through the longest winter. The retreat of the glaciers did not mark the end of the Ice Age's influence. It marked its transformation. As temperatures slowly rose and ice sheets withdrew, the world reshaped itself again, and humanity carried forward the lessons forged under extreme pressure. Survival strategies developed in frozen landscapes became the foundation for everything that followed. The ice receded, but the behaviors it shaped remained. Environmental change introduced instability rather than comfort. Melting ice altered coastlines, flooded land bridges, and reshaped ecosystems. Species that once dominated vanished or migrated. Humans adapted by applying the same principles that had kept them alive in cold: flexibility, cooperation, and foresight.
Groups adjusted migration routes, diversified diets, and experimented with new forms of resource management. Stability was never assumed. It was engineered. Knowledge accumulated across generations began to outweigh individual experience. Oral traditions preserved ecological memory. Where herds once moved, when rivers froze, which plants emerged after seasonal shifts. This information allowed communities to anticipate change rather than react to it.
The capacity to store and transmit knowledge became humanity's most powerful adaptation. Population density increased as climates moderated. Larger groups formed, demanding more complex social organization. Cooperation scaled. Systems of leadership, shared responsibility, and conflict resolution emerged organically from necessity. Trust expanded beyond immediate kin. Alliances formed between groups, reducing risk and increasing access to resources. Social intelligence became as critical as environmental awareness. Toolmaking reflected this shift. Technologies developed during the Ice Age were refined rather than abandoned. Blades became standardized. Composite tools appeared, combining stone, bone, and wood. These designs emphasized efficiency, repairability, and reuse. Innovation was cumulative. Each improvement built on previous solutions rather than replacing them entirely. Fire continued to shape human life. Its role expanded from survival to transformation. Controlled burning altered landscapes, encouraged plant growth, and attracted game. Humans began influencing ecosystems deliberately, though unintentionally at first. This marked a subtle but significant shift. The environment was no longer only endured, it was modified. Dietary strategies evolved alongside environmental diversity. As large megafauna declined, humans increased reliance on smaller animals, fish, and plant resources. This shift required new tools, new techniques, and deeper ecological knowledge. Fishing technologies advanced. Traps and nets appeared. Seasonal harvesting cycles became predictable and planned. Nutrition stabilized. Mobility remained central. Humans did not settle permanently at first. They adapted movement to opportunity. Temporary camps, seasonal return sites, and semi-permanent settlements appeared. These locations served as hubs of knowledge and social interaction. Familiarity with territory increased efficiency and reduced risk. Symbolic systems matured. Markings, ornaments, and ritual practices became more consistent across regions. These systems reinforced group identity, transmitted values, and regulated behavior. Symbolism supported cohesion in larger populations where direct personal bonds were insufficient. Meaning became a stabilizing force. Burial practices provide evidence of changing cognition.
Careful placement of bodies, inclusion of objects, and repeated ritual patterns indicate structured belief systems. These behaviors suggest an emerging awareness of continuity beyond individual life. Mortality became conceptualized rather than merely endured. This shift influenced social bonds, empathy, and long-term planning. Language complexity expanded alongside social scale. Vocabulary increased to describe tools, environments, relationships, and abstract concepts.
Communication efficiency improved coordination across larger groups. Language compressed knowledge, allowing faster transmission and preservation of experience. Cultural evolution accelerated. Genetic diversity reflected these interactions. Migration, interbreeding, and population mixing increased adaptive resilience. Traits beneficial in one environment spread to others. Immunological adaptations, metabolic efficiency, and physical variation reflected this shared history. Humanity became a mosaic shaped by movement and exchange. The domestication of animals deepened. Dogs became integrated into human systems, assisting with hunting, protection, and transport. This partnership altered social structure and extended human sensory range. Humans gained warning systems and cooperative partners. Animals gained protection and consistent access to resources. Mutual dependency reshaped both. As environments stabilized, experimentation increased. Humans tested new subsistence strategies, including early forms of plant management. These were not immediate revolutions, but gradual adjustments rooted in Ice Age logic. Observation preceded intervention. Patterns were identified before action was taken. Patience remained essential. Conflict did not disappear. Competition for resources persisted. However, mechanisms for negotiation and alliance reduced constant violence. Cultural norms regulated behavior. Shared rituals and symbolic boundaries mediated interaction. Social intelligence constrained aggression, where unchecked conflict threatened survival. Art evolved in function and form. It extended beyond caves into portable objects, tools, and bodies. Artifacts carried identity across distance. They communicated belonging, status, and memory. Creativity remained tied to survival, reinforcing social bonds and shared narratives. Human cognition reflected integration rather than specialization. Emotional intelligence, spatial reasoning, planning, and symbolic thought functioned together. This cognitive flexibility allowed rapid adaptation to novel environments. Humans did not rely on a single strength. They balanced many. The long-term impact of the Ice Age lies not in suffering, but in structure. It forced humanity to refine cooperation, externalize memory, and integrate biology with culture. These traits persisted even as conditions improved. Comfort did not erase adaptation, it amplified it. By the time ice no longer dominated the planet, humans were no longer passive inhabitants. They were active participants in ecological systems. They anticipated change, modified behavior, and reshaped environments. This trajectory led eventually to agriculture, urbanization, and technological complexity, all rooted in Ice Age foundations. Modern humanity carries this legacy. Neural pathways shaped by scarcity influence decision-making. Social instincts reflect ancient dependency. The drive to share knowledge, build communities, and seek meaning originates in environments where survival demanded it. The Ice Age remains encoded in behavior. Climate no longer threatens daily survival for many, but the adaptive framework remains. Cooperation under pressure, innovation under constraint, identity through shared memory. These patterns define humanity across cultures and time. The Ice Age was not an interruption in human history. It was its crucible. It refined a species capable of enduring uncertainty, responding to change, and carrying knowledge forward. The glaciers retreated, but the intelligence they forged endured. Humanity did not simply outlast the ice. It emerged, shaped by it, and that shape remains. Discover more hidden chapters of human history and understand how our past shaped who we are today. Stay connected for the next journey into our origins.